Welcome to another episode of P-Pel Pod. Today's deep dive starts with kind of a sociological puzzle.
Yeah, it really is.
Right. I mean, I want you to just imagine a timeline for a moment. How does a classically trained piano-playing Catholic schoolgirl, who, by the way, was unceremoniously dropped by her very first record label after just 3 months.
Right, which is devastating.
Exactly. How does she transform into this massive global icon? We're talking about someone who literally wore a dress made entirely of raw meat to a major award show, and then eventually became the very first person in history to win an Academy Award, a BAFTA, a Golden Globe, and a Grammy, all in a single year.
It's just a whiplash-inducing trajectory. I mean, when you put those milestones side by side, the contrast is absolutely staggering.
It defies logic.
Yeah.
But that is exactly what we are exploring today. We're looking at the life, the career, and the sheer engineered spectacle of Stefani Joanne Angelina Germanotta.
Or, as you listening, almost certainly know her, Lady Gaga.
Right. And I want to be clear right off the bat, whether you consider yourself a pop music superfan or you literally only know, like, a few catchy hooks you've heard on the radio, this is not just a recap of a singer's discography.
Oh, far from it. Our mission today is to really explore an artist who essentially treated her own celebrity as an evolving sociology experiment.
Wow, yeah.
She engineered this massive, unparalleled global fame from scratch, all while battling intense personal trauma and severe chronic illness entirely behind the scenes.
So why should you care about this story today? Well, because Gaga's journey is an absolute masterclass in resilience. It's a lesson in the art of constant reinvention.
Absolutely.
And maybe most importantly, it's a blueprint for how to harness your own eccentricities, like the exact things people might mock you for, and turn them into an undeniable superpower.
But to truly understand how she built this global spectacle, we really have to start at the beginning. We need to look at the incredibly disciplined, albeit deeply misunderstood, girl growing up in New York City.
Okay, let's unpack this. We were starting in Manhattan in the late 80s, right?
Correct. So born in 1986 into an upper-middle-class Catholic family, and from a very young age, her environment was highly structured.
Right.
She began playing the piano by ear at the age of 4, primarily because her mother insisted she become a, quote, cultured young woman.
And she wasn't just, casually taking lessons. She was incredibly studious.
Very much so.
By the time she was a teenager, she was attending the Convent of the Sacred Heart, which is this very strict, prestigious, all-girls Catholic school on the Upper East Side.
Right. But despite her immense musical talent, she felt like a total misfit. The sources note she was frequently mocked by her peers for being too provocative or too eccentric.
And which is just an incredibly isolating experience for a young person.
It really is. You have this natural prodigy, someone who found music to be, the easiest language to speak, but she completely failed to fit into the rigid conservative box her environment demanded of her.
Right. And here is where my mind goes with this. Her early life sounds significantly less like a typical teen pop star in training and, well, a lot more like a rebellious theater kid.
Oh, 100%.
Because alongside that strict schooling, she was actually studying method acting at the Lee Strasberg Theater and Film Institute for 10 years. Like 10 years.
That is a crucial piece of the puzzle, because she wasn't just learning how to sing notes on a page. She was learning how to psychologically inhabit a character completely from the inside out.
So how does that method acting background apply to what she ultimately became? I mean, Did she literally treat her pop music career as a theatrical performance?
Absolutely, she did. Think about how method acting works. It's about erasing the line between the actor and the role.
Right, staying in it completely.
Exactly. When she eventually created her pop persona, she didn't just sing a song and then drop character when she walked off stage.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. During interviews, paparazzi encounters, talk show appearances, she stayed in character as this avant-garde creation. She applied Lee Strasberg techniques to the very concept of being a pop star.
Which I guess explains her next major pivot. She actually gained early admission to NYU's highly prestigious Tisch School of the Arts music program.
A huge deal.
Right, but she only stayed until her second year before dropping out. Now wait, hold on. Getting into Tisch early is like the holy grail for a theater kid. You don't just walk away from the very establishment you've worked your entire childhood to get into. Why would she do that?
Well, because for someone who wants to break the rules of performance art, academia can feel incredibly stifling.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, she walked away to play these neo-burlesque shows in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. She said that gritty downtown scene represented true freedom to her.
Wow.
She was performing alongside an artist named Lady Starlight, doing these wild performance art tributes to 1970s variety acts.
Okay, so the theater kid has the raw talent. She's finding her rebellious edge in the downtown club scene. But she still needed, a defining persona. And more importantly, she's about to get a massive reality check from the music industry.
Oh, a huge one.
Let's talk about the name first, actually. How do we get from Stefani Germanotta to Lady Gaga?
It is a wonderfully serendipitous story. So in 2006, she was collaborating with a music producer named Rob Fusari. And because of her highly theatrical vocal style, he started comparing her to the famous Queen song, Radio Gaga.
And the legend goes he was trying to text her the words, Radio Gaga, and his phone's autocorrect actually changed radio to lady.
Exactly. I mean, a literal technological glitch coined one of the most famous stage names in modern history.
That is just amazing. But even with this new sticky name and undeniable talent, it wasn't a straight shot to global fame. This is where she hits a seemingly insurmountable wall.
A crushing setback. So in 2006, she achieved what every aspiring artist dreams of. She got signed to a major label, Def Jam Recordings.
For a young artist, that is the peak of the mountain. Like, you've made it.
And then, just 3 months later, she was unceremoniously dropped from the label, completely let go.
Just 3 months. That is brutal. To have that validation and then just have the door slammed in your face? I mean, why did they drop her?
Essentially, the label executives didn't know what to do with her. She didn't fit into the neat prepackaged boxes they were used to selling.
Right, the usual pop formula.
Exactly. By the way, the executive who signed off on dropping her, L.A. Reid, later went on the record calling it the biggest mistake I ever made in my life.
I mean, ouch.
Yeah.
But here's where her hustle just blows me away. When the front door closes, she finds a side window. She pivots behind the scenes and secures a music publishing deal.
Yes.
For anyone listening who doesn't know the inside baseball of the music industry, what does a publishing deal actually mean if she isn't the one performing?
It means she became part of the architecture of pop music. She was hired to write songs for massive, established artists like Britney Spears and the Pussycat Dolls.
Oh, wow.
So instead of being the face of the machine, she was inside the machine, learning the exact math and psychology of what makes a hit song work.
She's studying the mechanics of fame from the inside out.
Yeah.
But she couldn't stay hidden for long, right?
No, she couldn't. The turning point came when she was asked to sing a reference vocal for a track by the artist Akon.
Quick clarification for everyone. What exactly is a reference vocal?
It's basically a scratch track. So a songwriter or a demo singer will record the vocal simply to show the main artist how the melody and phrasing should sound.
Okay, got it.
But when Akon heard her reference vocal, he was completely blown away by her raw singing ability. He essentially demanded his label executives form a joint deal to sign her, calling her his franchise player.
A franchise player. So now she finally has a label fully backing her vision.
Right.
And this is where the sociological experiment kicks into high gear.
Yeah, big time.
Because when you look at the timeline, she didn't just quietly release some music to see if people liked it. She launched an absolute assault on global pop culture.
That is the perfect way to describe it. In 2008 and 2009, she released her debut album, The Fame, and its darker follow-up, The Fame Monster.
Right.
And she utilized everything she had learned writing for Britney Spears. She took these high-concept, weird, avant-garde visual ideas and attached them to undeniable, incredibly catchy pop hooks.
The numbers are just staggering. You have tracks like Poker Face and Bad Romance. Let's just look at Bad Romance for a second. That song spent a record-breaking 83 weeks on Billboard's digital songs chart.
Which is unheard of.
83 weeks. That is over a year and a half of continuous downloading. But why was it so sticky? What made her music hit so hard?
Because it wasn't just bubblegum pop. It had this dark, theatrical underbelly. She was singing about the paranoia and the disease of fame wrapped in a club beat.
Yeah.
And this is where she engineered that massive sociology experiment. She didn't just build a passive audience. She cultivated a fiercely loyal subculture, famously known as her Little Monsters.
Right, the monsters.
Yeah, she created an entire community for the misfits, the outsiders, giving them a shared identity and a safe space within her fandom.
Which brings us to one of the most infamous moments in pop culture history. When you have a song charting for 83 weeks, The standard industry expectation is that you play it safe.
You think so, yeah.
You keep the money rolling in, you smile for the cameras, and you don't rock the boat. But she does the exact opposite. She weaponizes that massive spotlight.
You're talking about the 2010 MTV Video Music Awards.
The meat dress. She arrives on the red carpet wearing a dress made entirely of raw beef, complete with a meat purse, a meat hat, and meat boots.
Oh, yeah.
I want you, the listener, to really think about the strategy here. At the time, critics just rolled their eyes and called it desperate shock value. But was it distracting from her talent, or was this actually a brilliant Trojan horse?
It was absolutely a Trojan horse. What's fascinating here is the context that often gets lost in the sheer visual shock. The meat dress was a highly calculated political protest against the United States military's don't ask, don't tell policy regarding gay service members.
Okay, wait, explain how a dress made of raw beef connects to military policy.
Her message was that if we don't stand up for our rights, pretty soon we're going to have as much rights as the meat on our own bones.
Wow.
And she famously added, "And I am not a piece of meat." She was using this grotesque, impossible-to-ignore visual to force a political conversation on a massive global scale.
That is wild.
It angered animal rights groups, certainly, but it worked. Time magazine named it the fashion statement of the year. She proved she could manipulate the entire global media cycle at will.
Hearing all this, it makes me think of her career not as a traditional discography, but almost like software updates.
Software updates, how you mean?
It's like she's operating on an open source platform. The media and the public are constantly trying to figure her out, to commodify her. And as soon as the public thinks they have Gaga 1.0 figured out, the shock pop, auto-tune, crazy costume artist, she pushes a massive patch for Gaga 2.0.
Oh, I see.
She makes it impossible for the media to ever put her in a neat little box.
That is a brilliant analogy, and we see that exact software update happen a few years later. Following a somewhat lukewarm critical response to her album Art Pop, where people thought the avant-garde shtick was getting tired, she initiated a complete whiplash-inducing overhaul of her image.
Right. She releases a traditional jazz album, Cheek to Cheek. And she doesn't do it with just anyone. She partners with the legendary crooner Tony Bennett.
A move literally nobody saw coming.
I always picture this pivot like a master magician showing the audience exactly how the trick is done. She strips away all the electronic beats. She takes off the meat dress. She washes off the heavy avant-garde makeup. Yeah. And she puts on an elegant gown. She essentially looks at the world and says, look, the raw, massive, undeniable vocal talent was here all along. I was never hiding behind the synthesizers. I was just choosing to use them.
And the validation she received was unparalleled. Tony Bennett herself publicly stated that Gaga was, quote, the most talented artist I have ever met.
Wow. From Tony Bennett.
Coming from a jazz legend, that completely rewrote her public narrative overnight.
But she doesn't stop at music. She pushes another update. She pivots to Hollywood, returning directly to those Lee Strasberg method acting roots from her childhood.
Exactly. She stars in the television series American Horror Story, but her true cinematic triumph arrives with the 2018 film A Star is Born.
And this is where she shatters the ceiling.
Yeah.
Not only does she act in it, she co-writes and performs the music, including the massive hit Shallow.
Such a huge song.
And by doing so, she achieves that historic milestone we mentioned at the start. She wins an Academy Award, a BAFTA, a Golden Globe, and a Grammy Award, all in a single year. The misfit Catholic schoolgirl conquered literally every major entertainment institution on the planet in a 12-month span.
But as we look at this incredible journey, the constant reinvention, the relentless work ethic, the brilliant branding, it is really crucial that we look at the reality behind the curtain. The sources reveal that this entire spectacle was deeply intertwined with severe personal pain and trauma.
Yes, and we need to talk about this because it adds a profoundly human layer to everything we've just discussed. There was a very heavy cost to this level of reinvention.
In a deeply vulnerable 2014 interview, Gaga discussed a horrifying reality from her early career. When she was 19 years old, she was raped by a music producer. She revealed that she was locked in a studio for months and that her abuser eventually dropped her off pregnant on a corner near her parents' house.
It's just horrific to even comprehend. She has stated that she developed lifelong post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, from the incident. The trauma fundamentally altered her as a human being.
And what we have to understand is that trauma of that magnitude doesn't just stay in the mind, it physically manifests in the body.
Right. The physical toll of her career, colliding with that unhealed trauma is immense. She suffers from fibromyalgia. Now, I think a lot of people hear the word fibromyalgia and they might just think it means sore muscles. But can you explain what it actually is, especially in connection to trauma?
It is far more severe than muscle soreness. Fibromyalgia is a chronic disorder that involves widespread musculoskeletal pain, fatigue, and cognitive issues.
Okay.
Essentially, it's a misfiring of the nervous system. Your brain and spinal cords start processing pain signals abnormally, amplifying them. And medical science has shown a strong link between severe, unhealed psychological trauma like PTSD and the onset of fibromyalgia. The body essentially keeps the score.
And it reached a breaking point for her. The chronic pain got so severe that it literally forced her to cancel the remainder of her highly successful Joanne World Tour. She was physically incapable of performing.
Which is absolutely devastating for an artist whose entire existence is built around performance. But what is truly remarkable about her story is how she responded to that pain. She didn't retreat into isolation.
No, she didn't.
She channeled those profound personal struggles into outward-facing activism.
She actively utilized her platform to help others navigate the same darkness. She launched the Born This Way Foundation, which heavily focuses on providing mental health resources and fighting online harassment for young people.
And her philanthropic reach became massive. During the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, she curated the televised benefit concert One World, Together at Home. That single event raised $127 million for the World Health Organization's Relief Fund.
Just a quick note for you listening. As we dive into the sources regarding Gaga's political activism, whether it's her protests against Trump and Pence policies, her endorsement of the Biden and Harris campaigns, or speaking out against the rollback of transgender protections, our goal today is simply to look at the mechanics of how she wields her massive influence.
Exactly.
We are impartially reporting the factual history from the sources to show how she uses her platform, not taking our own political stance or endorsing the viewpoints themselves. But what's fascinating from a purely strategic standpoint is her consistency.
That's a great point. What the sources objectively show is that she has consistently used her visibility to advocate for marginalized groups, particularly the LGBTQ+ community.
Right.
She has often credited her early survival and success to her gay fans and has spoken out globally for their rights, from rallying against Don't Ask, Don't Tell to speaking at the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall riots.
Okay, let's bring this all full circle. We started with the tension of this highly disciplined, piano-playing misfit who felt completely isolated in her Upper East Side school.
And when you look at her legacy today, as outlined by sociologists and music critics, she fundamentally changed the landscape. She proved that pop music could be treated as a high-concept, avant-garde performance art project.
The sources highlight this perfectly. Critics note that her drag-inflected, let's put on a show spirit paved the way for a whole new generation of artists.
It really did.
When you look at the theatricality of Billie Eilish or the camp and vocal powerhouse performances of Chappell Roan today, they are walking through doors that Lady Gaga kicked down. She brought the weird kids to the absolute front of the class.
She proved conclusively that you do not have to choose between being a serious, respected musician and being a visually shocking spectacle. You can be a jazz crooner, a method actor, and a pop provocateur all at once.
Which leaves me with a final thought I want you to mull over today. Think about your own life, your career, or your identity. Do you ever feel like you are locked into just one version of yourself? Like you have to be consistent just so other people can understand you?
That's a tough feeling.
Yeah, and this Gaga's journey suggests something really powerful. True authenticity might not be about staying exactly the same your whole life. True authenticity might actually be about having the courage to constantly reinvent yourself over and over again until you find exactly who you are meant to be in this moment.
That is a powerful takeaway from a truly singular career.
Thanks for listening to nameL.A. Pod. Keep tuning in for more stories worth knowing.